go.
Boom, part 2. We're back. Let's get this thing going. All right, we left off. We gave all the games that ended on the Garrett Grizz matchup. Myself and Hitch picked Garrett. Grizz picked himself. We all agreed it was a tight matchup. Now let's dive into the game of the week. We have myself at 8-3, projected 154, versus Sam at 9-2, projected 152. The first versus the second. Big game. You know, we talk about Boyani playing Timmy too. So since Sam is third in points and there's a big gap there between him and Boyani, if I beat Sam and Boyani takes care of his business, Sam could potentially drop to 3. But if Sam wins, he could potentially almost lock himself in at first, depending on the Boyani versus myself the next week. So, I mean,
with a bye, doesn't he? Or no?
Yeah, if he wins, he's locked in as a bye.
Yeah,
but we're all three of us, you know, we're all fighting for the bye. But really, you want that one spot. You want to play that 4 and 5 because whoever is second in that bye is going to have to probably meet the other guy in the playoffs. Yeah. So you want to stay away from us 3. So we'll dive in here. I'll let you guys kind of dissect our matchup here. I'm going to pick my team all the time to win. I'm confident in them. But I'll let you guys kind of go ahead and take it away.
Let's see. He might be getting Eckler back. That's going to be pretty important if he gets Eckler back.
I'm completely okay with that. I kind of want that to happen.
Why?
Essentially. Right. My take is you have a guy coming off of injury that much, hasn't really played football, hasn't been hit. Are they going to just give you the full starting workload? You know what I'm saying? There's potential there. Austin Eckler, you really want to throw him to the Wolves?
He's never been a full workload guy. He's like a hybrid that's playing. He's going to be playing like snaps at receiver, and he's going to have Herbert throwing the ball. Like,
well, see, I look at it differently. I just look at it as the fact that he's playing Gallman. So what's Gallman's true ceiling compared? Like Eckler is probably still going to put up Gallman numbers if he plays and he's healthy enough to play. So, I mean, if Eckler all of a sudden he actually does get the workload, the ceiling is that's why I would say actually.
I mean, that team is like competing.
I know what you're saying, though.
That team is like competing for like playoff positioning. Like, if he's good to go, I don't think there's gonna he's not like a full like bell cow that gets like all these crazy.
He's PPR guy
workload. I think they're gonna, manufacture touches for him, and he's like just uber efficient. And Herbert's playing QB now, so man, that guy's on my team. Wheels up. I think he could have a huge game this week, but we don't even know if he's going to play. He just got activated off IR. We don't even know if he's going to play, but I would be very excited to put him in there if I was.
What we'll do is we'll go over the matchup and we'll give it like we did with Grizz, like what does Julio play, and see if that difference.
No, that matters to me a lot. If Eckler's in there, that's why I brought it up, because if Eckler's in there, that makes me like Sam's chances a hell of a lot more. Just because, he's got Gallman in there, like Chris said.
For sure.
But I'll give the edge to Ant because of the QBs and Dalvin. Hill and Adams is a wash.
Oh, and Aaron Jones.
Ridley and Evans is, kind of a wash. Lockett, obviously, is boom or bust, but against Philly, that's a great matchup in prime time. Andrews and Goddard, it looks a lot closer than it did a couple weeks ago. Both of them just had a good game.
Ertz is coming back, though, FYI.
Is he really?
That's what I heard on the radio, anyways. Whether or not it's official or anything, I heard that he.
I did not know that. Regardless, so if Ertz is back, then that's a ding.
But he's
tough matchup for Andrews. Tough matchup for Andrews. Tough matchup for Clyde, but then again, when it comes to offense like the Chiefs, I don't think there really is tough matchups for them. So I'm not really into that kind of thinking. And Aaron Jones, he's always got the boom potential in him. I'm going to give the edge to Ant, mostly because of the QBs and Dalvin, but I think this game could be close, especially if Eckler plays. That's my take.
It is definitely a close game.
Thoughts on this, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I don't love the. Are you 100% playing Mike Williams?
Probably just because he has the boom factor. You know, it was him or Beasley, really. But,
yeah, I'm saying I would play him over Beasley anyways. I'm just saying, like, that's just because
I'm looking.
Williams was awesome last week. Williams has been awesome all year.
He's been awesome all year.
Yeah. No, I like his points have not been great, but his role has always been great with Herbert, and he gets deep stuff. He gets bombs. Like, for me personally, the way I like to play, Williams is the type of guy I would put in my wide receiver 3 every week if I didn't have a better option. I would play him Beasley 10 times out of 10. That's just the way I play.
Right. I mean, my thing is with Williams, he came off an injury, right? He put up 30 points. He only put up 1.4 points, but then he put up 21, 13. Then he put up 5.8, and he dropped a touchdown in the end zone, which sucked him at 17. So I'm pretty confident wide receiver 3, like Pitch said, like go off.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not a wide receiver 3. I'm comparing him to Sam's wide receivers.
Right.
Evans, Lockett, and Adams.
Like,
so
Williams is a poor man's Tyler Lockett from a boomer bust standpoint.
Yeah, which I'm taking Sam's Lockett over Williams there.
Oh, yeah.
I think with Pittsburgh and Andrews, that's tough. But I mean, I will give the edge. I do like Andrews still a little bit more than Goddard, only because Ertz, as long as Ertz plays, that's the difference for me. But that's pretty much an even tight end matchup for the grand scheme of things. I will give Ant the edge at running back and quarterback, and it is definitely pretty close. But I will have to. Josh Allen, and then you know what? You guys both went with Savini, right?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think for me, I think it's very close. I think that the difference will be the wide receivers.
See, for me,
I
think the difference is the QBs, and I like that Sam has Allen. I like that he has Allen, but I don't know. I just Mahomes and especially the way Watson's been playing, and he's got the Lions. I mean, it could be. Watson could be in for a big game on Thursday.
No, I think I'm split on it 50-50. My gut tells me to pick Ant, just the way his team has boomed. He's over 200 twice this year, but I'm going to go with an upset and go with Sam.
The QBs in
small upset, but definitely.
QBs.
As I said, I think it's a 50-50 split. I just think that if Williams gives you that one, I don't see Lockyer really. I don't know. I just, for me, my gut is telling me those wide receivers. I'm looking at them all.
Adams, Evans, Lockett is an insane.
And Kupp just put up 30.
And Kupp is like the last one that I mentioned in that because I don't think he shares the same ceiling as.
No, he doesn't.
He does, but just doesn't have as likely of a
I agree.
chance to get it. We've seen Kupp go for 40 before, so I shouldn't say that. But
Lockett might have a slighter lower floor, though.
Oh, he does for sure. But against Philly and Seattle, this is the money time for them. They got to win. That division's tight. I think we're going to see Russ cook more than we ever have.
And let's say Eckler does come back. All of a sudden there's going to be those targets going to be coming away from somebody. Is it going to be Keenan Allen? Is Mike Williams going to get a couple less? They have to come from somewhere. Also, if Eckler plays.
The one thing Eckler coming back, I think Eckler coming back opens up Mike Williams downfield a little more than normal.
Yeah, Eckler will definitely take away from Williams. It'll probably take a little bit away from Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen won't be getting 17 targets every game. If Eckler's going to be back, maybe he'll be more like 13 or 12. But Williams is still going to have his.
He's a deep threat.
They're still going to take the shots downfield with him for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I said, I went myself. I think I got a great matchups quarterback wise against his. I think Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones, they both can blow up anytime. Consistent floors. Our receivers are pretty close. You could probably arguably give the tilt to him. I don't know, maybe Julio's not out and they dial up Ridley a little more. I love Williams' matchup this week. And I think obviously it's a 1 versus 2 for a reason, so it can go either way. I'm just gonna give my floor this week, the nod. So I think I can boom a little more, and I've been booming. So
yeah,
that's
for sure.
That's it.
I'm not saying. I mean,
dude, it's 1 versus 2. I mean, you're not gonna hurt my feelings if you pick Sam.
I could be vanilla and just go with
No, we like it, Chris.
And
Tell Savini's team sucks.
with our bald friend, but
it's better off. Yeah, bald versus bald this week. Bald versus
the
bald.
battle of the baldies.
That's what we need to talk about. Who cares about this football thing? And Grizz, it's actually smart for you to pick Sam because you're 1 point off in the pickings. And
I can.
We both now, if you win, and Hitch and I both pick Garrett, right? And if Sam wins, we both pick me. You could gain and be off of one game. Yeah. So
I think this game to me is really. I look at it as a toss up, just because. I mean, granted, Gallman's kind of surprised. He's been putting up, not anything crazy, but he's been putting up 16, 13, 14, 19. So, I mean, to me, it's like, even if he plays and he's playing against Cincinnati, it's not like he's going to get,
Giants are actually going to be favored.
5 per se.
Giants are going to be favored in that game too because of Finley.
For sure. So, and I think, Goff is coming off a very good game. And Allen's, you got Josh Allen. So I don't know. I just think that, obviously.
I think it's going to be close. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it would have been close last week. Savini would have only won by 7 points last week.
Yeah. And he put out, So, I mean, obviously, as I said, I give the edge to the quarterback there, but I think it's, and then obviously a running back.
Boyani had a fun stat. I want to pull this in. Talk my shit a little bit because I'm not going to be able to talk my shit like this every year. Boyani went through and said if I played Boyani every single week this year, Boyani would be 3-8. And if I played Sam every single week this year, Sam would be 2-9. So please, fantasy gods, just give me the odds. One of these 2 weeks. I'd love to take both of them. But unfortunately, I got to face them both to get that number 1 spot. But
hey, that's the fun of fantasy.
That's it. Points don't matter. It just matters who you play. So, all right, let's get in the playoff scenario here. Where do we start? We'll start.
Points definitely matter here.
Points definitely matter here. So this week, Sam was already locked in for his playoff spot. This week, Boyan and I both locked in our playoff spots. And now we're pretty much at the point where us 3 are fighting for the buys and that number 1 overall spot. Boyani plays Goose this week, which is good for him. I play Sam and then Brian. So there's going to be pretty much tell-all in those matchups by themselves. None of them can drop under 4 at this point. We're here. Sam has the extra win, so that's a huge advantage. But Sam does not have points, like Hitch was just talking about. I have 100 more points than Boyani. Boyani has 107 more points than Sam.
Sam can't go any lower than 3rd though, because he already has 9 wins.
None of us can.
Right. Well, no, you could.
Mathematically, you can. Yeah.
I can. But
Bubs because of the points.
I would have to lose, and Bubs.
Because of the
Bubs
points.
Gonna have 400 points.
But I'm just saying, like, technically.
If one of you guys have 2 really bad weeks, like one 10-point games, and we both have.
I would have to put up 50 points and 50 points, and Bubs would have to put up 250 and 250.
I'm talking about more about Brian.
I got you.
But at the same time, like
he's still 250 behind Brian. That's too big of a gap.
Equation.
Yeah,
right.
He's 250 behind Brian. No, he couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not. It's not going to happen.
I didn't realize the point gap was that wide between
the point gap is huge. Yeah,
between you and Bubs, but between Brian and Bubs, I didn't realize it was that wide.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's really 3 tiers. There's you and Brian. Then the next tier is Sam and Bubs. And then the next tier after that is Grizz, Gary, me, and Nikki and French.
No, I don't know if that's fair to Grizz because Grizz is only Grizz is 15 points away. Grizz has been flopping essentially with points.
Oh, yeah, Grizz is 15 points away. I thought Grizz had lower points than that.
I think the tiers are –
That's a good point, actually.
It's almost like myself is a tier, Boyani's a tier, Sam's a tier, and then it's Bubs, Grizz, Garrett, you, Nikki.
Grizz has just been struggling recently, so I guess I didn't realize his points were still that high.
Yeah, Grizz had a big point lead. He started hot this year. So
the way games have been going recently, 40, 50 points is really not that big of a gap.
No, not at all.
It's not. I mean, you get a team that drops like a 90 and then a team that drops like a 160, 170. I mean, that's boom.
Look at what you did on Nikki this week.
Yeah, I scored 140 and he scored, what did we say? 86? He scored 86. So, yeah, it's like 60 points.
That's what I'm saying. You look at some of these teams, if you said, like, my team like would score, I almost didn't take Robert Woods out of it. I was only like a point. I was only at like 87 points. So it's not it's like you could have solid players and you guys just don't show up. It's very possible.
And that's when it's nice having those players that can boom. It's nice having those players that can boom.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. But
makes up for those other players.
I'm going to dive into ranking scenarios here. So with the 1 through 3, we'll go through that and then we'll get into the fun stuff because we got some fun stuff at the bottom. The top's easy between Sam, myself, Boyani. We got Sam and I playing pretty much. Sam just needs to win one of the next 2 and he locked in them. No, not technically. Well, yeah, because so Sam just needs 1 win.
Right, because he's playing you this week.
Yes.
Right.
And if that 1 win came this week, then that's definitely a bye.
Exactly. So Sam 1 win locks in a bye. If he beats me, Boyani and I place. If he beats me, he can almost. It's crazy how close it is. So Sam beats me, he's going to look really good at 10-2 to lock in that 1, especially if I beat Brian the week after.
Right.
So pretty much, points are going to have a lot to do with it. If I beat Sam this week and then go into play Boyani, it could be playing for that number 1 overall spot, or it could almost be I beat Sam, Sam drops, and there's all scenarios open for 1 through 3 for all 3 of us, and it's all possible. So we're going to take it week by week. We're thinking Boyani's going to get the win. Boyani, no matter what, should slide into the 2nd place spot after this week because he plays Goose. We're going to say, let's say he gets the win against Goose. It's going to be Sam or I at 1, and then the other person at 3. So it's insane. It's insane. And that's all I'm going to stay on that. I think right now, 4 and 5 are pretty much essentially set in stone.
I agree.
I think they are, but if Grizz loses back to back.
Well, if Grizz loses, so I could overtake Grizz only because
we play each other.
Only because we play each other last week. So if Grizz loses the last 2 and I win the last 2, then I could have a higher
tiebreaker,
higher points than him if I, score a little more these next couple weeks.
So you got Bubs this week. So if you beat Bubs, now Bubs is in the battle essentially for everything. You're in the playoff race again, moving up. If Grizz and Garrett go, if Grizz takes care of business on Garrett, you can jump him, right? And if it goes vice versa, Bubs beats you. He locks himself into almost 4, right? Or 5. He can't go lower. You are out of playoffs if you lose. And the battle between Grizz. Actually, you're not out of playoffs. If Grizz beats Garrett, you two. No, if Grizz beats Garrett
I'll still be in 5th.
That's what I'm saying. If Grizz beats Garrett, still Hitch and Garrett with 2 losses are still going to be in the same spot. If Nikki beats French, Nikki jumps to 6th.
Very easily, me, Garrett, and Nikki could all win our last 2 games, and it would just come down to points.
Yep.
Literally. And Nikki could be in 6th after this week. And Nikki could be playoffs, hopes are done. Essentially, if Garrett beat Grizz this week and you lost and Nikki lost,
French would jump in the picture because he would be
French is
no.
What do you mean no? What do you mean no?
If Garrett wins, wins this week, if Garrett wins this week and goes to 5 and 7,
Yeah.
Right. And then you lose and go to 4-8, and Nikki loses and goes to 4-8, and then French is 4-8. It's pretty much
right.
That's it.
But if Grizz beats Garrett, I lose to Bubs,
Right.
and French beats Nikki, he is all of a sudden in that conversation for the same record. Yes. And then it would all come down to points the last week. Because French still has me outscored by like 12 points. So he's in that mix. Like his scenarios are unlikely, sure, because he only has 3 wins. But
no way. No, he's out. There's no way.
I just told you,
bro.
I literally just told you.
He just said it.
I just said
French has shot.
Take the blanket out of your ears.
If you go, I don't see a 5-8. I just don't.
Oh, it could easily 5-8 for the last spot.
If French wins and beats Nikki, and French wins and Garrett loses, Garrett and French battle the last week.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They played each other the last week.
Yeah. So
he could jump Garrett. If Garrett loses 2 games and French wins 2 games, he jumps him.
Mm-hmm. And then if Nikki,
but Hitch, who do you play next 2 weeks?
I play Bubs, then I play you. So if I could lose the next 2 weeks and be out, or I could lose one of the next 2 weeks and still be 5-8 and just not have the points.
5-8. Who does Nikki play? Nikki plays French, and then
Nikki plays Goose next week, bro.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So Nikki could lose this week and then win next week and be 5-8. 5-8 could be the last spot.
Wow. 5-8, and then French would be 5-8.
5-8
Hitch would be 5-8, and Garrett would be 5.
I'm corrected. I was just in my head.
It's a lot. Yeah.
And I'm just looking. I'm like, no, he's gonna be 5-8. There's no way somebody gets into 5-8. But I guess mathematically, and
those
the way the
5
matchups
spots
work
are
out,
pretty set. Those first 5 spots are pretty set. All you got to do is win 1 game.
I know.
Even if you don't win 1 game, you're still pretty much locked into that 6th spot.
I mean,
if he wins 1.
I think I gotta play French next week.
Because I'm just trying to think this out on the fly.
So if Grizz loses to Garrett, right? Garrett will
be 5
and 6, but then, and let's say Hitch wins as well, it'll be 5-7, 5-7, 6-6.
Yeah.
And Grizz will play Hitch.
And then I could jump
last
Grizz.
week. So Grizz, if you don't score enough points and lose back to back, you could essentially be jumped by Garrett and Hitch, because Garrett then plays French last week.
Yeah.
So there's scenario where Grizz, you because of points don't make it, but Hitch is going to have to gain 47 points,
which isn't that. Oh, I don't know about easy, but it's
doable. It's very doable.
Yes.
If Grizz is losing 2 games in a row and you're winning 2 in a row, you're probably gaining 45 points in those 2 weeks.
Right? Or it'd be close.
So your matchup could be for the 6th spot, essentially.
Well, that's why I knew when I was watching the games with Nikki the other day or the Sunday, and I'm looking at it, and we're both just like, we just see our projection just dropping and drop. It was like we were racing to the bottom. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I know I don't necessarily have, like, I'm not like I'm playing Sam in like Boyani or Savini the next 2 weeks. So, I have at least matchup like, okay, if I have to play anybody, I'm not playing the 3 top teams. But I'm like, I want to win this week because I'm like, I felt if I could win 2, obviously it locks me in. So I'm like, I just wanted to at least lock winning because I feel like the next 2 weeks I can at least split them.
Yeah.
And then
that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do.
Really easing up. Then my matchups for like Lamar and all that eases up. So that's where I think then all of a sudden I can maybe re-rolling and then make a run. But it's
my players are starting to gain steam.
I still miss playoffs.
So if I get in, I think I'm going to have a chance to make some noise.
Definitely. The crazy thing is going into the last week. If Hitch, you could still beat Grizz, right? Yeah. And you guys could still beat Grizz and not make playoffs by winning both your games. Isn't that crazy because of points?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I'm playing with house money at this point. The plan was never to be a championship contender.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, obviously, I'm now that I'm here, I want to get here. I mean, I keep thinking back to that game against Sam when I put in AB his first game with the Bucks over Swift, and AB scored like 8 points and Swift scored like 11, and that would have been the difference. And I would have one more win right now. And I would be the 6th spot right now because I would have one more win. I lost to Sam by like 3 points, beat Savini, beat Bubs, and beat Tim twice. So like I've been competitive and beaten the top teams, and I think my team is only getting better every week.
Yeah.
So I think
if you did that too, that the 1 through 3 would all be 8 and 3 too, would be even more spicy up there.
I know. Oh my God.
And actually,
it happens.
But I mean, Swift wasn't the man yet. He hadn't gotten the workload yet, and AB with the Bucks, I couldn't pass it up.
Happens. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the game. I mean, look at me in redraft. Fucking 2 things like that. Now I'm out of playoff race. So
and
it happens.
Well,
it sucks. Definitely sucks.
And obviously, Bubs is in the same situation as me because he plays. He plays Sam in the last week too. So I mean, this is a big game for him too because that matchup against Sam week 13 is not an easy one.
Right.
So you don't want to go into week 13 needing to beat Sam. You want to be like locked in.
That's right too.
Because he's got the same amount of points as me basically in the grand scheme of things. So he's in the exact same situation I am. So and we don't play each other. We don't play each other. So
that's wild.
No, he is. I mean,
wild.
If Bubs. So can Bubs and Grizz both lose the next 2 weeks because they don't play each other?
Yeah, and if they do,
technically
yeah, they do because Grizz plays, and that would be a win for Garrett. That'd be a win for Hitch.
It would just open up the 6th spot so much more.
And then it would be a win for.
Well, yeah, because you got to think if Grizz and Bubs both lose,
that's wild.
If Bubs and Grizz both lose the next 2 weeks, then the 6th spot will definitely be a 5-8 team.
Yes. Just because if me and Bubs are losing, it means we're not probably not putting up points.
But even if you're not, that means that these teams in the bottom are getting wins somewhere because I play you the last week.
Right. But I'm saying
so
you guys
that would mean at least.
Though.
But
you guys do have to make up points somewhere.
Right, but it would also open the door for the 6th spot to be 5-8 more likely. So that would open the door for a team like French, me, and Nikki.
So me and Bubs, if we both win this week, we obviously both lock it in. But there's a chance that if we both lose, we're both going to be fighting for week 13 playoff spot.
And I'll just say too that these teams, like Nikki's team, has had big weeks. Grizz's team has had huge weeks. Garrett's team just had like 160 something. French's team, we've seen him flash. Like I think the week that I played him, I scored like 140, and his team scored like 160. So we've seen it from his team. Really, the point I'm trying to make is that like even going into next season, nobody's team is like ancient, like super, super old. Like, and Tim is going to have like all these draft picks where he's going to have like these rookies coming in. Like this is just like a super, super competitive league. Like
it is.
A lot of dynasty leagues, you'll see like 3 or 4 or sometimes even 5 teams like trying to go for the rebuild and do like the picks and stuff. Like our league isn't like that. Like every team has, in its range of outcomes, like that 160, 170 point week, like anybody's team. I mean, not Tim this year, but I think this time next year his team's going to look a lot different if he does hold on to those. If he does hold on to those draft picks, which I hope he does because I really like this draft class. And I want to see what he does with them. I mean, this is just a good league. Like really anybody 1 through the 9 spot has a somewhat of a chance to get into the playoffs. And if you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. Like obviously the front runners are Sam, Savini, and Boyani. And
well, they're the favorite, but so were the New England Patriots when they, went up against the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Anything can happen, bro. Hitch, you beat Boyani and I this week, and was 1 play away from beating Sam.
Yeah.
So literally anything can happen.
And this is the week. I've been saying this all year. This is the week
that NFL teams flip the switch. Like Thanksgiving is over. Once Thanksgiving is over, this is where teams know what the fuck they want to do. And rookies and younger players start getting more involved, especially running backs. So like you could start seeing like some massive fantasy winners down the stretch in guys like Dobbins, Taylor, Swift. Jalen Reagor is going to be more involved. Like this is the time where that happens. Like, so this is what I was banking on, having a chance to be in the playoffs around this time and just seeing what my young players do. Cause this is the money time.
And props to you, Hitch. Everybody kept on saying you were on a playoff team, and you kept on pushing, and never,
I even said it. I said you got no shot, bro. Your team is not fully ready, and
it wasn't in the beginning, but I mean, luckily there's some other teams that kind of slipped. Like I didn't expect Garrett or Nikki's team to slip like this and be 4-7. Like realistically, I think I should be like, ninth place. Frenchie's team, I didn't expect his team to be like this. Like I think as the years go on, and the teams improve, you'll see the last seed not be a losing record. You'll see it be 7-6 or 8-5. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
There's a lot of injuries this year too, and I think people
that's a big part of it.
I mean, some people adjusted and shifted differently than others. I mean, as I said, if I was French and I lost Dak or so forth, I'm just going out there. You should have maybe made a push for something, protect yourself.
I don't necessarily agree with that. It's just so like losing a guy like Dak. He was averaging 32 fantasy points a game.
You're not replacing him.
No, I'm not saying that.
Well, let me finish. You're not replacing it, obviously. But at the same time, even if you're trading for like, just like a decent starter, like if you were to come for someone like Matt Ryan or, Derek Carr, even for example, somebody like that, like just like a mid-range, QB2 or whatever. The price you're going to have to pay for that is going to come from players out of your starting lineup, because when you're in the middle of the season, none of the teams that are contending, like for example, we use the Carr and Matt Ryan example.
That's not true.
They're not going to want to trade 4 picks.
That's not necessarily true, because I traded 2 quarterbacks last year, one to Savini and one to
mid-season. You're talking about Kirk Cousins?
Yes.
Bro, I gave you a first-round pick, a second-round pick, a third-round pick for Kirk Cousins. So you have to pay, is what he's saying.
Those are PA.
French isn't going to pay.
Right. But I don't think you're going to find a lot of teams that are going to want to trade for picks. Especially
some guys sit there and just, sit in a corner and be like so sad that they got an injury, instead of going out and using some of those picks that he still has and going out and getting somebody. I think if he were able to, instead of having to play Minshew and or Baker Mayfield instead in replacement of Dak, he should have maybe given out like a first and a second, and with one of those guys for a quarterback, and with all his other guys, I think he could have made a difference.
I don't know. He lost CMC, Miles Sanders. I think probably better just to not trade.
I think since his team lost so much, he didn't make moves.
I wouldn't have. Right? I wouldn't have done it.
But maybe if he just lost Dak, then he could have been like, let me work some stuff in. But I mean, he definitely had
CMC out. All those guys. Miles Sanders was out. AJ Brown was out. Like he literally had like 50% of his team and his 2 best players. I mean, let's face it, Dak and CMC are his 2 best players. Like the fact that he still put up like decent week last week. Like I think he had like 130 last week or something.
That's what I'm saying though. Like he's got guys on his bench. He's got draft picks. So even though he was getting some injuries, what I'm saying is he easily could have another extra win or 2 besides not playing CMC that 1 week. He could have probably 5 wins right now if he traded a couple guys on his bench for a player or some draft picks. He probably could have squeaked out I
don't think he had the draft picks to trade though. Like he only has one 2021 second, and then no one in the fucking world is trading a starting QB for 2022.
I'm not even talking about I'm not even talking about that. I'm saying like even if you're talking about getting another running back or something like that. Like he did go out and get Mike Davis, and that helped him out too.
That was huge.
Yeah,
but that's such an easy deal to make. Yeah, I mean I agree, but I think he spent the fab on his team. I think his team blew up in his face so much that he was just like, it's just not my year.
I don't blame him, but though. I think
love someone who should, if we talk make a move, Garrett should have made moves.
Yes, and I was going to go on to that.
He has
he's another
capital,
one that shouldn't be.
He has young assets. Yeah, he has draft picks, young assets, now players. He's got some aging quarterbacks. He hit the jackpot on Herbert, and he was bitched about drafting him.
Such a good pick.
Yeah, I know.
He
bitched about it the whole time, and then he pans out. He is someone who should have made some moves with what he had, but he is being known as not making moves and players dying on his bench, but he's drafting well now. He's got Herbert, Justin Jefferson.
And he won the championship, so
and he won the championship. So maybe that's why. But he should have been move, turn it into a powerhouse team. He should have been with myself, Boyani, Sam. He had all the tools to do it, and he should have been all in on going back to back. But instead, he just sits back and doesn't do anything. Yeah. Now he loses Devontae Freeman this year. Like his players are expiring off of his team.
T.Y. Hilton is also expired.
T.Y. Hilton expired. He could have got some stuff. I'm pretty sure I offered him things for T.Y. Like stuff too, he just doesn't like to deal his players, and that if you have players expiring and you're not making deals, your team's gonna fall apart. But he made some off-season moves last year, acquired some picks. He hit on his picks, so he's surviving a little longer.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of Dynasty is we're gonna see it as time goes on. We're just gonna see which strategies are working and what strategies aren't.
So I mean, obviously,
every year we're gonna learn more, and we're gonna. That's why this league is awesome.
So French definitely has. Yeah, and know what French has made in the offseason. He obviously acquired AJ Brown. He does make
hit on all of his draft picks,
and he's hit on all his draft picks. So I just think that if I was in this situation, I would have tried to move some of my bench players and or some of my picks to try to fill some of those injuries that he was occurring. And then with Gary, I would have probably at this point pushed and just gone all in this year to go back to back, which with
all the things Garrett had, man, with Chenault looking. Yeah, man, with all the stuff Garrett has, with the draft he had, the Chenault, like he could have really made his team a contending team. It's for this back-to-back push, like no questions. Like pick what route you want to go. He had players look good that were young. His team could have been so stacked. I mean, Herbert and Rodgers, two great quarterback combos to push the chip with. So
fair enough.
Clearly, he's still.
And you know why I love talking shit about Garrett so much right now? How's this, Garrett? You're the worst fucking fantasy football manager ever. You know why I can say that? Because it's guaranteed he's not going to listen.
No, he'll listen.
I don't think so. I don't know.
He does have a championship.
Some shots at him. The last couple of weeks, I've dug at him a little, and he hasn't texted me, so I don't think he's watched.
Maybe he is. All right, Zoom's about
I've
to
done
cut
it
us
on
off.
purpose.
So, peace.
All right.